Welcome to Building Better Websites Together to grow your small biz. I'm Ray Katz. I'm the founder of Ray Katz Creative Solutions, and I've been working on websites for 10 years now. I worked on a lot of different kinds of websites. A lot of them have been for small businesses, including my own. So I understand the struggles to get a website up and running. In this presentation, I'm going to go over a lot of different material to help you get your website up and running, attract more customers, and grow your small business. Please like and subscribe if you like content like this. We have a number of other videos planned to help you grow your small business. Here's what we'll cover today. I'll do a quick intro of myself. Who am I and why am I talking to you about websites? We'll ask, is a website really important for your small business? And I have lots of material planned, including how to make your homepage intriguing to potential customers, finding your style, even if you're not a designer, and we'll talk about website platforms and the actual cost of developing your own website. I know that the cost can be a really crucial factor for many small businesses, so we'll go into that in detail. I'll include a quick sales pitch for my web, tech, and design services, which I think can help a lot of small businesses. I love working with small businesses and, helping you find your customers, your community, and your audience. And finally, we'll have time for a Q&A and a community chat if we have questions. You feel free to share any questions you might have throughout this event, or if you're watching it afterwards, go ahead and drop your question in the comments below and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Hi, I'm Ray Katz. I build websites. I've been working on websites for over 10 years now. It's hard to believe. I earned an undergrad degree in physics from MIT. I've worked as an engineering manager, software developer, freelance journalist, content creator, and now I provide marketing and business strategy, websites, graphic design, and more for small businesses. If you want to check out my website work, please check out raykatz.com/portfolio. I want to talk about why websites are so hard. Websites are hard for a number of different reasons. But the main reason I find when starting out with a website is it's hard to talk about yourself and your own work. Whether you're working on an about page, a bio page, you're applying for a grant, you're trying to describe your work in writing and send it off to someone, this is often a really hard thing to do. This is why applications are hard. So if you're struggling with what to put on your website, just know that this is a very common struggle. We're going to address exactly what you should put on your website in a minute, but it's legitimately hard to do. There's a couple of other reasons why websites are hard. There's a zillion different tech options out there, and they're all confusing. And finally, as a small business owner, usually you don't get paid for your time to create a website. As a freelancer or as someone who creates websites for other businesses, I get a paycheck when I complete a great website for someone. But you might not have that satisfaction of getting a check in the mail. And so you may struggle to balance the time you spend on your website and your marketing, your social media presence perhaps, with work that pays you in a more direct way. So websites are hard and stressful. What if you don't create a website? Then what happens? These are some possibilities. Someone could ask you at a networking event, Do you have a website? What do you say if you don't have a URL to give them? Maybe a prospect Googles you after a friend mentions your business, but they can't find you online. Maybe you've lost a customer there. This next one is really common for a lot of businesses. Maybe your website is a Facebook page, but you're worried that Meta could ban your account. And that's a very real fear because you don't actually control that page or your audience. It's all Meta, the company that owns that page. Maybe you feel like less of a real business because you don't have an online presence. Now, this is a fear and insecurity. I don't think it's a reality, but if this is holding you back in feeling successful in your business, that's a really good reason to have a website. We are going to fix that. Setting up a simple website is probably not as hard as you think, and we'll cover exactly how to do this. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content where we talk about exactly how to do things, the nuts and bolts of setting up your online presence. We're going to have way more videos covering all the things you need to run your small business. This is really important. I feel like my video is covering the important part of the slide. There we go. Think about what would you want someone to learn about you in the first 10 seconds they look at your website. This is a potential customer who's checking out your website and they haven't met you yet. So it's a good idea to try to introduce yourself to your potential customer. This could include sharing your business name, what you do, what you can do for them. You can also have a call to action. This is a term that is something like signing up for a newsletter, purchasing a product, any action that you want your potential customer to take to bring them closer to you. And an intriguing vibe, it sounds a little bit non-technical perhaps, but this is one of the most crucial parts of a homepage. You want your potential customer to be intrigued enough to learn more. So having an intriguing vibe, sharing something that makes people go, interesting. I wonder, that makes them stick around on your website and maybe read the next page of it and maybe reach out to you in an email or pick up the phone and call you. That's really important. If you're following along, please go ahead and share in the chat. What do you want someone to learn about you or your business in the first 10 seconds they look at your website? If you're following along afterwards, drop that in the comments. I'd love to hear about what is the most important thing about your business. Now, this could be a little bit self-promotional. Hear that? I'm giving you an opportunity to self-promote your business. Please take advantage of that. Next, we're going to talk about a few homepage pitfalls. So we're going to talk about homepage pitfalls because these are really common. I see them all the time. Very sort of simple issues with small business homepages. And if you're feeling called out because, you've done one of these things, that's okay. I've done them too. They're very, very, very common. So you should feel in good company with many other great business owners. I just want to cover, how some of these examples might potentially be improved. Our first example is of a homepage pitfall. Don't info dump on your homepage. Now, we all love a good info dump, right? We go over to a friend's house, they start chatting about their latest obsession, and, 20 minutes goes by and you've learned something really fascinating about a part of the world that you didn't even know existed. That's great. We love info dumping, but not on your business homepage. you don't want to overdo it and give your prospective customer too much information to start. Leave them a little bit intrigued and wanting more. You can have a learn more button on your homepage. Maybe it goes to a page about your philosophy or your about page. That's a great place to tell your whole life story if you want to. But you want people to opt in to that experience. Give them a little taste of your experience, your story, your vibes, and then ask them to click on something to see the rest. This actually engages people. It makes sure they're not overwhelmed to start out with when they're just meeting you, and you can still have all the information that you want on your website for sure. The next homepage pitfall is don't be too cool. I'm gonna resize my video again. I think I made this presentation so that it would work with this video size, but I think something got changed. There we go. Okay. So on your homepage, don't be too cool. People don't go to a website to see something cool. They go to your website for info about how you can help them. I would recommend don't just put your name and nothing else on the homepage. Share enough of your story to draw someone in. This is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum from info dumping. There's info dumping on one side, there's too cool, not sharing anything on the other side. We want to find something right in the middle where you're sharing enough to intrigue people, but not so much that you overwhelm them. We're going to talk about finding your style next. If you have any questions or any comments, if you're hanging out, say hi in the chat. Love to hear from you. So even if you're not a designer, you have a style. Everyone has a style. Maybe we just need to do a little work to bring it out and come up with something that you're happy with. Here's some prompts to help you figure out what your style might be. Think about what your home office or your store looks like, or what you would like it to look like if you had infinite money. Maybe your home office looks a little bland right now, but if you were to renovate it, maybe you'd like to have, plants all around, house plants draping down from the ceiling. Maybe you'd like a bunch of screens, a very futuristic spaceship command center look. Maybe you'd like a really warm and homey vibe with a lot of fabrics and textures, curtains, blankets, pillows. There's so many things that we can represent with our physical space around us. And if you start looking at that, start looking at what kind of things you prefer, even if, you don't have, you can't afford to do your ideal space, but on a website, you don't need to pay per element, right? You can craft your ideal space on the website based on what you would love to have if you could. You could also think about, what does your product look like? Does your product have a certain vibe to it? Do you have product packaging or materials that go along with your product? Can you create a look like that on your website that your customers are familiar with? When you're thinking about finding your style, think about what kinds of artwork or aesthetic are you drawn to? If you visit a museum, what kind of paintings or sculptures do you enjoy looking at? What types of textures and patterns do you like? And this could be, again, your home office space, your clothing, what you like out in nature. And then consider what symbols and inspiration are important to you. It may be important to represent your community, your culture, various parts of your identity on your website so that people know who you are. On this slide, we have a lot of different examples of nice different textures. On the bottom here, we have some fabric textures. There's natural textures. This is watercolor. Maybe your customers would like a cute animal mascot. That's also kind of a style. I like this one because it's combination nature, this tree, and circuit design. It's kind of a high-tech and nature all in one. There's some cherry blossoms here. These are very beautiful and meaningful to some people. Real life photos is another type of a style. Maybe you have great photos of you and your customers doing fun things together, or maybe you like stock photos that represent a sort of modern look. And this is another way to do a modern look. This kind of wavy, futuristic pattern. All of these kind of things, you can select one or more of them and they can form the style of your website. Maybe you just truly don't know what your style is. That's okay. Think about what your customers might like. What style do they have? Think about a specific person who buys from you if you're still unsure. If you don't have any customers yet, think about a friend who said, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." Think about anyone who has expressed interest in your product or service and what their style might be. Because while you want the website to represent your own style, you also want it to be appealing to your customers. One of the big choices when starting to design a website or a brand is to choose the colors. Now, colors are really personal in a way. Everyone has their favorite set of colors, and they, as a designer, often I present clients with sets of colors, and sometimes they like them and sometimes they don't, and that's completely understandable. I often find that it goes best if the client can let me know if there is a color that they want to start with, because they'll look at that color and say, "Oh yeah, that's what I wanted." So if you're doing this design process yourself and you want to choose colors, I would suggest start with one color that you love if you can. Then find other colors that coordinate and contrast with it. When you're selecting your set of colors, you'll need a range from light to dark to create the visual contrast. That means for text to be readable on a background, it needs to be a dark background with light text, like you see here, or a light background with dark text. It's really not going to be readable if you do colors on colors. So it's really helpful to include at least one neutral color, maybe more, in your color scheme. Combining these neutrals with bright colors is one of the ways to make it look a little bit more professional, a little more balanced, and more readable, because neutrals tend to be more readable. Maybe you're saying, "Wait a minute, Ray, I want all the colors on my website. My brand is colorful and unique, and I want to express that." Don't worry, I got you. If you want all the colors, I suggest finding inspiration in nature for colors that go well together. Adding a lot of different colors to your color scheme can be fun, inviting, playful, or full of childlike wonder. This can be great, especially for educators, shops with a lot of personality, and anyone who wants to express uniqueness. And on this slide, we have a number of different great color schemes that I think could work really well on websites. Let's start with this calico cat in the top corner. We've got this orange, this dark brown, and the white, and even the light green of the eyes. I think that would make a beautiful website design, actually, to combine those colors together. We see in a lot of animals, especially birds, they have lots and lots of bright colors, but they don't really clash with themselves. It looks good. So you can look at some of these nature photos and figure out what would look good together on a website. This coral reef is a great example of if you wanted a really colorful page that's not too overwhelming. You could have this blue background with these yellow and orange accents, some areas of pink as well, and some of the dark colors and the shadows here, perhaps for the text to create some contrast. I think, this parrot is also a great example of, I think this is a macaw, but there's this great yellow-orange color combined with this blue color and even a little lime green. And then on the face, there's this light white type color and the black of the beak. If you're taking inspiration from a photo like this, it doesn't have to be this bright. The whole page doesn't have to be this bright. You could include a photo like this on your page, but if you were taking the colors and creating a color scheme out of it, I would suggest maybe you want the background of your page to be this white of the face, for example, and then you want some of the headings or some of the lines or details to be these bright colors, and maybe the text is black on top of it. That would be a really, readable, not too overwhelming way to incorporate parrot colors into a page that could be quite professional and non-overwhelming, which is what we want. You might ask, what if I like sort of out there overwhelming color schemes? Well, I've seen a lot of businesses with out there overwhelming color schemes, and they do fine. If that is what you want for your business, awesome, great. That is professional. You are professional because you are running a business. I would say that actually a lot of people don't want the really standard template look of the website, especially people who are looking into stuff like this to put together their own website. They want it to be a little unique and not that sort of beige everywhere sort of look. If you do want the beige everywhere sort of look, there are a lot of templates out there, and I would recommend using one of them. There's some very nice templates that are well designed. A lot of people, when they're first starting to post content online or put together a website, they wonder, what should I use for photos? If you have your own great photos, use those. Your own photos are going to be great on a website because they show you, they show your actual business, perhaps, they show your customers. If you don't have photos of your business or your customers, that's okay. Not a lot of people don't. If you've taken photos, of your town, of nature, of stuff like that, these can be incorporated into a business website as well. If you want to share what's going on in your life a little bit in term, with your business as well. However, if you don't already have the photos you need, check out these stock photo sites. Now, these stock photo sites all have photos that are available for free for commercial use. This is important because your small business website is an example of commercial use. So you want to make sure that any photos that you're using fall under such a license. There are a lot of photos on the internet that you are not allowed to use for commercial use or even at all. So using a stock photo site is a great way to make sure that you are allowed to use the photos. These sites like Pexels and Unsplash, Nappy.co, and even Canva Pro, these are all search engines for photos, basically. You search using keywords at the top of the site, and the site will show you a selection of photos that meet your search criteria if they have any. When you're searching for photos of people, be aware that the models in the stock photo sites overwhelmingly represent white, skinny, able-bodied, straight, cis people. And we all know that our communities don't uniformly look like this. This is not just some diversity, inclusion. That's important, but what's more important is that your customers need to be able to see themselves when they look at your website. If they look at your website and just see people who don't look like them at all, they're going to feel alienated from your business. So it is a financial necessity to represent your customer base on your website. If you're struggling to find some more diverse photo results, you can consider adding these kind of keywords to your search. Plus size model, diverse, wheelchair, LGBT. Now, it may feel a little bit objectifying to add these keywords to your search, and I think that's true. But when people post the photos to these stock photo sites, they tag their photos with these types of keywords. So it works to do a search like this. I use Pexels and Unsplash a lot for, random images, objects, thematic elements, photos of the beach, stuff like that. Nappy.co is a really cool site because it features stock photos of Black and brown people. And so you don't need to do any of these weird diverse searches even just to find a photo of a Black model. They are centered here, and so that can be a really great site to search through. They have some really high quality photos. I would recommend checking it out. And Canva Pro, if you happen to use Canva like I do, I built this presentation in Canva, it is also a pretty good place to search for graphics and stock photos. Speaking of search engine optimization is a whole science in itself, sort of. And it's rapidly changing with AI search results, etc. The most basic thing you need to understand about search and discoverability for your website is do this exercise with me. Think about how would you search on Google for your own business, and actually go type it into the box. This is an important step. You need to actually type it in. Pretend you're searching for whatever it is you do. Then make a note of whatever you typed into the search box. And phrases like this should go on your website. Some examples of search phrases could be affordable website for small business, LGBTQ friendly martial arts near me, help with marketing, New York City, Ray Katz web design. I included that one because think about if someone met you at a networking event and they had your name and they know what you do, for example, web design, they might type that into Google. They might type in you and your profession. So if you are known for your work by your name, I would recommend putting your name on your website fairly prominently, and that will help Google to know that's where you're located online as well. None of these ideas are just for search. They are for customers as well. So if a customer comes to your website and they see exactly what they're looking for, then they're like, oh yeah, this is what I need. So it's doing a double purpose of, even if you don't rank highly in search results, you're still making your website more appealing to potential customers, which is the goal. Often when people start out working on websites, they don't know what's easy or what's hard, which is understandable because they've never built a website before. So it can help me from a developer's point of view to explain what's easier and what's harder. And if you're hiring someone to build a website for you, this translates into more and less money. If you're doing it yourself, it's more or less time. And we all want to save as much time and money as possible usually, so this will help set your expectations. Similar vibes are easier than making a website pixel perfect. What does that mean? Well, a lot of times designers, other people come up with these examples of websites that they really like, but maybe the website is built on a different platform. Maybe the images are somewhat different. And so we don't want to plagiarize. We don't want to copy someone else's website, pixel for pixel, word for word. Designers certainly take a lot of inspiration from what other people have done and put their own unique twist on it. So when you're working from your mood board, or you've put together something in Canva or Photoshop and you're thinking, I want my website to look exactly like this, I would recommend it will be much easier if you make your website look approximately like that. Pixel perfect tends to take a lot more time. On any website platform, it should be easy and straightforward to put text, photos, links, and so forth. Text and photos are really fundamental to any website, and any website platform should let you edit that and add it easily. Interactivity, this could be animations, any kind of 3D, anything. This is harder. Anything where you click and it changes, or it animates, or the page changes, or the elements shift, these are all harder, and by which I mean more expensive usually, because these kind of animations and interactions are all custom. That's why they're harder than text and photos. So one way to think about it is, can you put it in a Word document? Then it's probably really easy to put on your website. If you can't do it in Word, then that means it's harder to do on a website as well. And finally, useful resources are easier than viral results. It's almost impossible to guarantee viral results. And going viral may not get you any new customers. It may just get you a lot of really unpleasant comments. So if you're running a business website and you're wondering what kind of content to post, I think it's much more effective generally to post a steady stream of useful resources, even if you're not getting a lot of views. People who go to your site and see these resources, they can see your expertise, they can see your caring and generosity, and they may want to work with you more. Going viral is kind of its own thing. If you want to go viral on TikTok or YouTube or wherever, that is something that you can work on. But I wouldn't recommend that as the main strategy I'd suggest for a website. We're going to talk about website platforms and cost next. If you're watching and you have any questions about what we've covered. Covered a lot about design, about colors, patterns, textures, stock photos, and the content that I recommend putting on your website. Once you have an idea for the design and you've pulled some of the content together, the next step is often, what website platform should I build my website on? So I'm going to talk about 3 website platforms here: Google Sites, Squarespace, and WordPress. Google Sites is great because it's free. That is the main advantage. There are a number of platforms actually that offer free websites. Google Sites is usually the one that I recommend. Another one that comes up really frequently is Carrd with 2 R's. Carrd is fine. It has slightly different limitations than Google Sites, but it's also a very reasonable alternative. So Google Sites is limited in terms of the layout and the options, meaning that you can drag in images, you can add text, you can add buttons, but you can't sort of pixel perfect align anything. It won't let you overlap anything. It has limitations in how you can arrange your elements on the page. Google Sites allows you to create multiple pages, unlike Carrd, which is a one-page site. That's their whole deal. Google Sites does allow embedded content. This can be calendar scheduling pages or sign-up forms. This is really important because some free websites don't offer the ability to embed stuff like that. Google Sites is not for blog posts. It's actually incredibly difficult to organize, format, put together blog posts in Google Sites, and I would not recommend it. If you want to blog, go with some platform that's meant for blogging. Both Squarespace and WordPress are great for blogging. You could also consider something like a Substack newsletter. You can connect a custom domain name and Google Analytics to Google Sites. You'll have to pay for the custom domain name as you would with any provider. A custom domain name is something like yourbusinessname.com, and that tends to cost about $10 to $20 a year. Next up is Squarespace. Squarespace is a well-known, popular website platform. I've made many sites in Squarespace, and I think it's great for a lot of businesses. It has straightforward drag and drop. There are Squarespace templates. It has a grid system, so you can't make your alignment pixel perfect. The text, the images, the buttons, links, anything kind of snaps into place on the page, so you can drag them around, you can rearrange them, but it's hard to make something that's real custom. It has a particular look, but it works really well for a professional and inviting appearance. And Squarespace is around $16 a month currently. I recently became a Squarespace Circle member, which I'm excited about, and that actually grants me some more discounts that I can pass on to you if you choose to work with me as a Squarespace website provider. WordPress is perhaps the most well-known website platform. WordPress needs a lot of initial configuration to look okay, in my opinion. Squarespace is more out of the box. You can start adding images and text and colors right away. But WordPress, you'll need to install a theme and some plugins and kind of start from scratch in terms of layout if you're making anything custom. If you're just entering in your info into a theme, it can be a little quicker, but even that can be fairly hard to figure out. On the bright side, it's very configurable. If you want an animation or you want to be able to filter through items and stuff like that, there are a lot of plugins available for WordPress, so you can do a lot. WordPress is great for blogging. It's the original blogging software. If you're looking to do search engine optimization or monetize your site with ads, WordPress is probably the best option for that. The least expensive WordPress option I've found is Cloudways hosting, which starts around $11 a month. And, oops, just trying to move my video. Anyway, and the other part of this says WP Engine is more expensive, around $50 a month, but it has a lot more features when you're building and deploying sites that are really nice and can save you in developer time. So here's the $1 million question. How much does web development cost? How much will it cost you to put together a website or update your existing site? For a straightforward website with a home, about us, services, contact form, and no e-commerce or integrations. This is a pretty basic standard site, and I don't mean basic as in boring, I just mean basic as in it doesn't have a huge library of all your products and an interactive game that you can play if you go to this one page or something like that. Like, websites can get a lot more complicated, but I actually think that having these key pages is much better than having a sprawling website with too much on it. So if you do this yourself, expect to put in 20 hours minimum to learn how to and configure the site, possibly much more. There are a lot of resources out there, including this one, to help you build your own website from scratch with just free resources on the internet. However, there's a reason this is a profession. It gets easier the more times you do it. I also think that there's some people who find this really interesting and some people who find it really frustrating. If you are one of those people who finds it really frustrating, you may be better off hiring someone to do it, if you at all can. If I'm working on a website like this, I usually estimate between 10 and 20 hours of my time, very roughly, to design, build, set up, and launch. So to give you a price range, at $60 per hour, that is approximately $600 to 1.2K. To put this into perspective, a lot of service providers may charge $100 to $200 an hour, or a flat fee to create your website, perhaps $1,000 to $5,000. An agency might charge you $10K or more for the same website. And the agency has a whole team working with you. They provide a lot more, actually. They provide marketing, they provide design, and for many companies, this is worth it because their website brings in much more than that in terms of revenue and profit that they are getting from their products and services. For all of these estimates, it's important to keep in mind that this is a direct investment in your business. If you have a good product or service and no one knows about it and no one can buy it, then you're not going to make any money. So the website can be a really important tool to help you make money. I should also mention, and I didn't put it on the slide, that there are providers on Fiverr and other sites where they will put together a website for much less, maybe $100 to $200. There's also Squarespace templates, which is a combination of you buy a design, but then you can put in the work to put your content into the design. I'm working on a Squarespace template right now. I'm going to be selling it pretty soon, but that will be a lower cost offering so that you can have one of my site designs, but it's not the full service of having to pay for hours of my time. And I would say that most sites that are $100 to $200, you may or may not be happy with the quality. It may be a little more risky, but there are some very competent people who are doing this kind of work out there for that much, and they're likely using a template. So your site won't be as unique as some of the stuff that we talked about here, but that could be just fine. I find that, it's really helpful a lot of the time. A lot of these 10 to 20 hours, this is figuring out together, collaborating on what exactly you want on your website. And this can be from the little things like, I want this page organized into 2 separate columns to divide my 2 different product areas, to this is, I need something, tagline for the homepage of my website. What could that be? And we brainstorm together and come up with something you're happy with. So this is something that I think is really valuable, that human connection for clients who are looking to express their humanness on their website. If you're thinking of creating a website coming up or updating your existing website, let's talk about a plan for your next steps, how you can make it happen. I suggest start by writing a 1-sentence description of your business for your homepage. This is what we started with, remember? What is the prospective customer going to see after the first 10 seconds they look at your website? Next, gather existing content and materials which you can copy onto your website. This can be things like flyers, marketing materials, ads, emails. You don't have to share, in fact, I wouldn't share all of your business proprietary materials. I don't mean that. But if you have existing marketing materials, you may be able to just copy, paste, and put them on your website quite easily. Next, create a mood board or a collection of design examples that you like. Even if you're not a designer or not into design, try to find something simple. This can be a good exercise to figure out what makes sense for your website. I think that if you create some kind of an example, you'll feel more invested and involved in the finished product, even if you work with a designer. But then, be willing to abandon your nice design examples in favor of what's easier on your selected website platform. Block out some time to put your content and images onto your new website. As we talked about earlier, it can be hard to balance the time that you spend on your website with the fact that you're not immediately getting paid for it, especially as a freelancer. And I feel that. But I think it's important to remind yourself of the long-term value of having your business out on a website and decide how much time you can devote to that. Block it out on your calendar and do it. You may be thinking that this sounds like a lot. And you're not wrong. Putting together a website is big and intense, and it can be really overwhelming. I find that a lot of my clients are really good at doing technical things themselves. That's great. I honestly love this. I find that when I put together a site for my clients, I like to make sure that They are able to go in and edit the content, maintain the site themselves. That's really important. So I can offer a collaboration. I listen to what you need, and then I can implement it efficiently and cleanly, so you don't have to get frustrated. On the other hand, if you're like, no, I'm not technical, I never want to touch the website, I can build the site for you, so you never have to touch the technical side of it. I still think it's a good idea to know how to edit and add your own content, and I can show you how to do that, but it's all up to you. Here's some of what my clients are saying. Natalie says, "Amazing. I truly love working with Ray. They're such a wonderful, responsive partner for web development." Thank you, Natalie. Linda says, "Even before promoting the site, we already have 2 consultations scheduled via the website and 1 package purchased. Amazing design skills." That's amazing, Linda. Stephanie says, "Thanks for being reliable and great, Ray. I wasn't stressed about my website at all." Happy to help, Stephanie. I'm so glad you weren't stressed. If you'd like to work with me, please send me a note at hello@raykatz.com or book your no-cost 30-minute consultation with me at raykatz.com/discovery-call. If you want to work with me this year, now is the time to book a call. My schedule's filling up, but together we can get your website up and running with less stress. All right. We have made it through the promotional portion of this session. If anyone has any questions about creating websites, we've talked about a lot. We've talked about why it is stressful to create a website or edit a website. It's hard to talk about yourself. But where you can start is think about what you want a potential customer to know about you in the first 10 seconds they're on your website. That was the first step. And then we also talked a lot about design examples. Even if you're not a designer, how do you figure out what your style is? How do you represent your business on your website? We talked about search and discoverability, having those keywords that you might search for your business easily available on your homepage, both for your potential customers and for Google search. We talked about website hosting platforms. So once you've come up with a concept for your site and you have the materials to put on it, how do you actually put it up on the web? We talked about Google Sites, a free platform, and Squarespace, which has a nice drag and drop interface and is good for a lot of small businesses. And we talked about WordPress, which is one of the most popular website platforms and great for blogging. Finally, we talked a bit about how much this might all cost, whether you decide to go with a web developer like myself or choose a template, go with an agency. There's a lot of options out there. Hopefully this helped answer some of your questions. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat, or if you're watching this afterwards, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what your business is about and what you'd like to put on your website. Be happy to provide feedback in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you like website and small business content. We'll be putting up a lot more videos with everything you need to run your small business effectively. A lot of other marketing videos, website videos, content videos, video creation videos. They're all coming soon. So hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on that. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me directly at hello@raykatz.com. I'd be happy to hear what you thought and answer any questions you might have. All right. Thanks so much for joining me here today. I'm going to log off if there are no questions. But I really I hope that you're inspired to create or improve your small business website. I think that it's not as hard as you might think, and this presentation has hopefully provided some inspiration and some next steps for how you can get your business out there on the internet. I believe in the great work that you're doing and your small business, and I would love to help with your marketing and your outreach and your web presence if you would like. But whether you do it alone or you'd like to chat about how I can help, I am rooting for you and your small business. And I think that small business owners are an inspiration, and I appreciate you. Thanks so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.